Hello, guys. In today's video, we are going to discuss all the Swift scan questions which are relating to the special contracts under the Indian Contract Act. So, only this in this video, we are only going to discuss case-based questions and only from the special contracts. So, starting with contingent and quasi contract. PQR, a hospital in Delhi, recruits D on contract basis for a period of 3 months. The hospital management promises to uh, pay Dr. A, a lump sum amount of 1 lakh if Dr. A tests positive for novel coronavirus during the contract period of 3 months. Identify the type of contract. Contingent contract dependent on the happening of an event. Also, what will happen if A does not contract COVID? Then, in that case, the hospital is not liable to pay anything. A contingent contract dependent on the happening of an event is valid when the event happens and becomes void when the event does not happen. Here it was if he contracts COVID, he will be entitled to get that compensation. Since he never got COVID, he will not get that money. A coolie in uniform picks up the luggage of R to be carried out of the railway station without being asked by R, and R allows him to do so. When a person you have not asked him to do, but he does the work for you and you enjoy the benefit, and he's not doing it gratuitously, so are you liable to pay? Yes. Which contract is it? Quasi contract. Payment made for work done non gratuitously. If a person does the work for another, not intending to do it gratuitously, that means intending to be paid for it, and such other person enjoys the benefit, he must pay for it. So examine whether the coolie is entitled to receive money. Yes. How much money? A reasonable price that should be payable. P left his carriage on D's premises. Landlord of D seized the carriage against the rent due from D. P paid the rent and got the carriage released. Can P recover the amount from D? Yes, when a person makes the payment on behalf of another, who was supposed to pay? D. Who paid? P. Now, why did P pay? Because his carriage was being seized. So, to protect his carriage, he paid. So, can I say here P had paid to protect his interest? Yes. Can he recover the money? Yes. When a person makes payment on behalf of another to protect his interest, he is entitled to get the money back. So, yes, he can recover on the grounds of quasi contract. X found a wallet in a restaurant. He required of all the customers present there, but the true owner could not be found. He handed over the same to the manager of the restaurant to keep till the true owner is found. After a week, he went back to the restaurant to inquire about the wallet. The manager refused to return it back to X, saying that it did not belong to him. Finder of the goods, there is a quasi contract, there is a contract of bailment, implied contract of bailment, and there is a quasi contract according to which the finder becomes the owner against the whole world except the owner. So he takes the position of the owner against the whole world. So here X found the wallet. So who is actually entitled to that wallet? X. Can the manager refuse? No. So can X recover it from the manager? Yes. Okay. Mr. Y, aged 21 years, lost his mental balance after the death of his parents. After the death of his parents in an accident, he was left with his grandmother aged 85 years, incapable of walking and dependent upon him. Mr. M, their neighbor, out of pity, started supplying food and other necessaries to both of them. Mr. Y and his so he is a person who has lost his mental balance. That means he is an unsound person. And he had a grandmother who was dependent upon him. And Mr. M, their neighbor, had supplied food and other necessaries. So necessaries have been supplied to a lunatic or to his family dependent on him. Mr. Y and his grandmother used to live in the house built by his parents. Mr. M also provided the grandmother some financial assistance for her emergency medical treatment. After supplying necessaries to Y for 4 years, M approached the former asking him to pay back 15 lakh inclusive of 7 lakh incurred for the medical treatment of the lady. Mr. Y pleaded that he got his parents' jewelry to sell to a maximum value of 4 lakh, which may be adjusted against the due. M refused and threatened Y of the legal suit. When a person supplies necessaries to a lunatic or to his family who is dependent on him, The person shall be reimbursed from their property. So now, first, my question is, does the financial assistance for the medical treatment also amount to a necessary? Yes, the grandmother is a dependent parent. So, yes, it's a dependent person, dependent family. So, yes, it includes. So, first is, does he have a right of claim of 15 lakh? Yes. Now, this guy, he has jewelry worth 4 lakh, and the lunatic is never personally liable. The liability is against his property. Here, this guy has jewelry worth how much? 4 lakh. So this I will recover. But what about the remaining 11 lakh? Now, if you see here, he had a house which was built by his parents. So by selling this house, provided he inherited the house, by selling this house, can I recover the remaining money? Yes. So, will M succeed in filing the suit to recover the money? Yes. What is the maximum amount of money that can be recovered? 15 lakh. 4 lakh from the sale of jewelry, and assuming that he inherited his parents' house, 11 lakh from the sale of the. Shall the provisions of the above act apply to the medical treatment given to the grandmother? Yes. If a person supplies necessaries to a lunatic's family who is dependent on them, then that also he is liable to pay. Medical is included in necessaries. Explain the type of contract in the following. We have already done this. We have already done this. A contracts with B for the supply of 10 tons of sugar, but before the supply is affected, the fire caught in the factory and everything was destroyed. Can we say this is subsequent impossibility, supervening impossibility? The contract is what? Void. So this is what? Implied contract. This is also what? Implied contract. And the third one is it's a void contract. Mr. L let out his residential house to M for 50,000 for a period of 1 year. According to the rent agreement, electricity bill will be paid by L, but L could not pay the dues up to 5 months due to financial hardships. The electricity board sent a notice of disconnection if it is not paid within a week's time. To avoid all this, M paid the electricity bill of 50,000 with penalty. Later on, L refused. Who paid? M. Who was supposed to pay? L. And why did he pay? Why did M pay? Because the electricity will be cut, so his interest would be affected. Later, L refused to reimburse and argued that he has paid the bill voluntarily because of his own interest. That is why only I'll pay. No, when a person makes the payment on behalf of another to protect his interest, he can recover the money from the person on whose behalf he has paid. That is, he, that is M, can recover the money from the person, that is L, on whose behalf he has paid on the grounds of a quasi contract. With this, we are done. Now, the next is in this set we are going to discuss the questions of indemnity and guarantee. Mr. Chetan was appointed as a site manager of ABC Construction Company on a 2 years contract at a monthly salary of 50,000. Pawan gave a surety in respect of Chetan. So here, who is the creditor? ABC Construction. Who is the debtor? Chetan. And who is the surety? Pawan. Mr. Chetan's conduct. After 6 months, the company was not in a position to pay to Chetan, and because of financial constraints, Chetan agreed for a lower salary of 30,000. This was not communicated to Pawan. Any variation in the terms of the contract without the surety being informed discharges the surety from the day of such variation. So that means, can we say he is liable for the first 6 months but not later? Right? He is liable for the first 6 months, but not later. 3 months afterwards, it was discovered that Chetan had been doing fraud since the time of his appointment. What is the liability of Pawan during the whole duration of Chetan's appointment? He is liable up to the first 6 months, but he is not liable after that, right? Mr. D was in urgent need of money amounting to 5 lakh. He asked K for the money. K lent the money on the sureties of A, B, and N without any contract between them in case of default in repayment of money. B makes a default, B refuses to contribute. Examine whether B can escape the liability. No. You have given a surety irrespective of whether there is a contract between the co-sureties or not, you are liable to pay. So in this case, he is liable to pay. He is liable to pay an equal share. A contracts with B for a fixed price to construct a house for B So A is going to construct the house for B within a stipulated time. B would supply the necessary material to be supplied to be used in the construction. C guarantees A's performance. So C is the surety because it was given on A's behalf. So A is the principal debtor and B is the creditor. B does not supply the material as per the agreement. Now, please tell me one thing. If B does not supply the material, can A build the house? No. So he is by not supplying, he has released A from liability. And if A is released from liability, can I say C is also released? Yes. Is C discharged from his liability? Yes. C advances to B 2 lakh on the guarantee of A. C has also taken a further security for the same borrowing by mortgage of B's furniture worth 2 lakh without knowledge of A. C cancels the mortgage. After 6 months, B becomes insolvent and C sues A for his guarantee. Decide the liability of A if the market value of the furniture is worth 80,000 under the Indian Contract Act. Okay. So, if you have taken any security from the creditor, whether the surety is aware or not, the surety has a right over this property. You have taken a loan of 2 lakh and the value of the furniture is 80,000. If I would have paid you, I would have had a right on that furniture. But you returned it back to him. So when you returned it back to him, you have taken away my right of 80,000. When the surety's rights are impaired by the creditor, can we say he is discharged to the extent of 80,000? Yes. So how much is he liable now? 1,20,000, right? R owns an electronics store. P visited the store to buy water purifier priced at 54,000. He specifically requested R for a purifier with a copper filter. As P wanted to buy the purifier on credit with the intention of paying in 9 equal installments, R demands a guarantor for the transaction. As a friend of P came forward and gave the guarantee for payment of water purifier. R sold P a water purifier at a specific brand. P made the payment for 4 monthly installments and after that became insolvent. Explain the liability. Can we say he is liable for the rest of the installment? Yes. If you get a question where they say he has become insolvent and now he can only pay this much, in that case, if they give you he can only pay this much, the surety will also be liable to pay only that much. What will be your answer if R sold the water purifier misrepresenting it as having a copper filter? When the guarantee is obtained by misrepresenting the fact. Now, if the guarantee is obtained by misrepresenting the fact, then the guarantee is not valid. First of all, the debtor is only not liable to pay. And when the debtor is not liable to pay, the obviously guarantee is also not valid. Neither P nor S were aware of this fact, and upon discovering the truth, P refused to pay the price. Can he actually refuse to pay? Yes. In response to P's refusal, R filed a suit against S, the guarantor. Whether S is liable? No. He is also discharged because the guarantee was obtained by misrepresentation of fact. Surendra guarantees Virendra for the transaction to be done between Virendra and Jinendra. For the transaction to be done between Virendra and Jinendra. During the month of March 21, Virendra supplied goods of 30,000 on 1/3/21 and 20,000 on 3/3/21. On 5/3, can we say it's a continuing guarantee? Yes. Because it is time limit, but it is for the whole month. On 5/3/21, Surendra died in a road accident. On 10/3/21, being ignorant of the death of Surendra, Virendra further supplied goods. Doesn't matter. The moment the surety is dead, the guarantee is over. Further supplied goods of 40,000. On default in payment by Jinendra on the due date, Virendra sued the legal heirs of Surendra for recovery of 90,000. First of all, they are only liable to pay how much? 50,000, not this 40,000. Describe whether the legal heirs of they are liable to pay 90,000. No, they are only liable to pay 50,000. What would be your answer if this estate is worth 45,000 only? So, if the estate was worth 45,000 only, in that case, the maximum liability of the legal heirs will anyway be 45,000. But anyway, it will not be the liability of the surety. The liability of the surety is only for 50,000. Death is an automatic revocation for the rest of the guarantee. Correct? So here we had done two things. Okay. First is hmm, First is how much is he liable for? 50,000. The estate will pay only 50,000. Estate's ka value is only 45,000. So they are liable to pay only 45,000, nothing more. Manoj guarantees for Ranjan, a retail textile merchant, for an amount of 1 lakh for which Sharma, the supplier, may from time to time supply during the next 3 months. Continuing guarantee. After 1 month, Manoj revokes the guarantee. So when the revocation is done for the contract already made, you are liable. When Sharma had supplied goods on credit for 40,000, decide whether Manoj is discharged for all the liabilities to Sharma for subsequent credit supply. Yes. What would be your answer if he makes a default of this 40,000? For this, he will be liable. For this, Manoj will be liable. A gives to M a continuing guarantee to the extent of 8,000 for the fruits to be supplied by M to S from time to time. From time to time on credit. This is continuing guarantee. Afterwards, S became embarrassed and without the knowledge of A, M and S contract that M shall continue to supply S with fruits for ready money and that payment shall be applied to the then existing debts between S and M. Examine, they should have, when they have made these variations, they should have informed the surety. They did not inform the surety. So in this case, the entire, what have they done? They have made a composition, correct or not? So where he is agreeing to not take the money and any money paid, now any goods sold will be sold on cash basis. So here the liability of A is completely discharged. So A's liability is discharged. Shambhu becomes a guarantor for Aman for the amount which may be given to him by Naveen within 6 months. The maximum limit of the said amount is 1 lakh. So it's a continuing guarantee, time specific, amount specific. After 2 months, Sambhu withdraws his guarantee. I think we have done the same question. Is he discharged from liability for subsequent loan? Yes. Is he liable for 20,000 if Naveen fails to pay? Yes. Masoom owns a residential property at Kailash Colony, Delhi. Masoom had given his residential property on rent amounting to 50,000 per month to Kamal. Pankaj became the surety for the payment of the rent by Kamal. Subsequently, without Pankaj's consent, Kamal agreed to pay a higher rent to Masoom. After a few months of this, Kamal defaulted in the payment of the rent. Evaluate. Same thing we have already done. Till the time he was paying the old rent, he is liable. But once the rent is increased, the liability is over. So his liability is terminated, revoked from the date of alteration of rent. Megha advances to Nisha rupees 5,000 on the guarantee of Prem. The loan carries interest at the rate of 10% per annum. Subsequently, Nisha becomes financially embarrassed. On Nisha's request, Megha reduces the interest to 6% and does not sue Nisha for 1 year after the loan becomes due. Nisha becomes insolvent. Can Megha sue Prem? Decide no. The moment she decreased the interest rate to 6%, any variation discharges the surety. Any variation discharges the surety. So, in this case, the surety, Prem, his liability has been discharged on this variation of rate of interest. So, he's not liable. Mr. Salil purchased furniture worth of 1 lakh from Puran on credit. Mr. Raman entered into a contract with Puran for the guarantee of the payment by Salil. On the due date, Mr. Salil could not make the payment due to his financial crisis. Mr. Puran filed a suit against Mr. Raman for payment. Meanwhile, father of Salil paid 20,000 to Puran on behalf of his son. Raman, in ignorance of the above payment, paid 1 lakh to Mr. Pooran as a surety. Afterwards, when Mr. Raman knew the fact, he asked Mr. Pooran for refund of 20,000. Mr. Pooran denied for refund with the words that that's only Salil who can claim the amount of 20,000. Okay. The liability of the surety is coextensive to the liability of the principal debtor. When the principal debtor's father had already paid 20,000, the liability of surety is already discharged. The liability of the principal debtor is already discharged by 20,000. Now, when the surety has paid the whole amount, he had paid extra, which is not his liability. So can he ask for that refund of 20,000? Yes, because surety is only liable for the amounts which the principal debtor is liable. Manisha Minor lost his parents in COVID-19 pandemic. Due to the poor financial background, Manish was facing difficulties in maintaining his livelihood. He approached Sohail to supply him grocery items and to wait for some period for receiving his dues. Sohail did not agree with the proposal, but when Ganesh, a local person who is a major, provided guarantee that he would pay the dues in case Manish fails to pay the amount, Mr. Sohail supplied the required groceries to Manish. After a few months, when Manish failed to clear his dues, Sohail approached Ganesh and asked him to clear the dues of Manish. Ganesh refused to pay the amount on two grounds. Firstly, that there was no consideration in the contract of guarantee. In the contract of guarantee, consideration paid to the principal debtor acts as a consideration for the just one second. A consideration paid to the principal debtor acts as a consideration paid to whom? Acts as a consideration paid to the surety. So he cannot claim on the grounds of no consideration. Secondly, that Manish is a minor and therefore on both the grounds the contract of guarantee is not valid. In case of contract of guarantee given on behalf of a minor, the contract of guarantee is absolutely valid, and in that case the surety is personally liable. So referring to the provisions, decide whether the contention of Ganesh is tenable. No. What will your answer differ in case both Manish and Ganesh are minors? Then he cannot recover anything. The supplier cannot recover anything because when the guarantee is given on behalf of a minor, the surety is liable. But if the surety is a minor, who will be liable? So in that case, no liability. I hope it's clear. So moving on to the next question. Paul purchased a smartphone on credit from a mobile dealer on the surety given by Jack. Paul did not pay for the mobile. The mobile dealer demanded the payment from Jack because the contract entered with Paul is void. Mr. Jack argued that he is not liable to pay since Paul is not liable. Whether the argument? No. In case of a guarantee given on behalf of a minor, the surety becomes personally liable. So he is liable to pay. What would be your answer if Jack and Paul both are minors? If they both were minor, then no one is liable to pay. With this, we are done with this topics of guarantee and indemnity. Now moving on to bailment and pledge. But examine whether the following constitutes a bailment. B parks his car at a parking lot, locks it and keeps the keys with himself. Since the keys is with him, it is just the transfer of custody and possession, not possession. So it's not bailment. Seizure of goods by custom authorities. They have the rights to possession as well as custody. So yes, it is a bailment. Ramesh hires a carriage of Suresh and agrees to pay 1500 as hire charges. The carriage is unsafe though Suresh is unaware of it. Ramesh is injured and claims compensation. Discuss the liability. He is liable to pay. In case of a non gratuitous bailment, the bailer is liable for both the known and the unknown faults. Explaining the provision of Indian Contract Act, answer. See the holder of an overdue bill of exchange drawn by A as a surety for B and accepted by B contracts with X to give time to B. Okay, this is actually not a question of bailment. This is actually a question of guarantee. But anyway, explaining the provisions, I'll read the question again. See the holder of an overdue bill of exchange drawn by A as surety. Okay. See the holder of an overdue bill of exchange drawn by A as a surety for B and accepted by B contracts with X to give time to B. Now, please understand if there is a contract between the principal debtor and the creditor for extension of time and the surety is not informed, the surety is discharged. But here, is he agreeing? Is it an agreement between the parties? No, it is not an agreement between the parties. When it is not he has agreed with a third party to give time to B. Is A discharged? That means what? That means here B is the principal debtor, A is the surety, and C is the creditor. C agrees with X that I will give time to B. Now, if C had agreed with B to give time, then A was discharged. But he agreed with a third party. Is A discharged? No. Aman bailed Amar bailed 50 kg of high quality sugar to Srijit, who owned a kirana shop, promising to give 200 at a time of taking back the bailed goods. Srijit's employee, unaware of this, mixed the 50 kgs belonging to Amar with the sugar in the shop and packaged it for sale when Srijit was away. This came to light only when Amar came asking for sugar he has bailed with Srijit. As the price of the specific quantity of sugar has tripled, what is the remedy available? Obviously, the goods are not separable, so I cannot separate the goods. So he has a right to claim the price of the goods. Ashley bails his jewelry with Barn on the condition to safeguard in bank's safe locker. However, Barn kept it in the safe locker at his residence, where he usually keeps his own jewelry. After a month, all jewelry was lost in a religious riot. Ashley filed a suit against Barn for recovery. Will he be successful? Barn has taken reasonable care. Bailey should take reasonable care of the goods. But even if the Bailey has taken reasonable care of the goods, he can be held liable to the bailer if he has not followed the specific instructions of the bailer. Here, it was very specifically said that keep it in the bank locker. He kept it in the locker at his residence. So, liable or not liable? Yes, he is liable. So, will he be successful? Yes. Mrs. Shriya delivered her old silver jewelry to Mr. Yash, a goldsmith, for the purpose of making new silver bowl out of it. Every morning she used to receive the unfinished. If you remember, this was the same case of Kalia Perumal versus Visa Lakshmi Achi. Every evening she used to receive the unfinished goods to put it into a box kept at Mr. Yash's shop. She kept the key of that box with herself. One night, she kept the key of the box with herself. So, is it bailment? No, because this is only custody and not possession. One night, the silver bowl was stolen from that box. Was there a contract of bailment? Whether the possession of the goods constitute a contract of bailment or not? No. There was only a transfer of custody and not possession. So, no, it's not a contract of bailment. M gives his umbrella to M during the rainy season to be used for 2 days during examination. And it was to be used for 2 days. He keeps it for a week. While going to R's house to return, M accidentally slips and the umbrella is badly damaged. Can we say he has taken reasonable care of the goods? Yes, but he failed to return the goods within the time. And if he fails to return the goods within the time, he is liable to compensate for the goods. So, who shall bear the loss and why? M shall bear the loss because he failed to return the goods within the specified time. Amit lends a horse to Bimal for his own riding only. However, Bimal allows Chinku, a member of his family, to ride the horse. Chinku rides the horse with care, but the horse, okay, he has given specific instructions that only you can ride. However, Bimal allows Chinku, a member of his family, to ride the horse. Chinku rides the horse with care, but the horse falls and is injured. What is the liability? When the bailer has given goods to the bailee with specific instructions and bailee uses the goods not following the instruction, he is liable to compensate. So, can we say he is liable to compensate? Yes. Mr. Dhanna Seth delivers a rough blue sapphire to a jeweler to be cut and polished. The jeweler carries out the job accordingly. However, now Dhanna Seth refuses to make the payment and wants his blue sapphire back. The jeweler denies the delivery of the goods without payment. Examine whether the jeweler can hold the blue sapphire. When I have rendered some services and you have not paid me the charges of my services, I have a right of lien. So, yes, he can exercise, he is entitled to retain the stone till he is paid. M lends a sum of 5,000 to B on the security of two shares. On 1st April, on 15th June, the company issued two bonus shares. B returns the loan amount with interest, but M returns only the two shares which were pledged and refuses to give the two bonus shares. Any accretion to the goods should also be returned to the bailer. So, advise B, he has a right to claim those two bonus shares. Mr. Truth deposited 100 bags of groundnut in the factory of Falls for safekeeping. Pauls mixed the groundnut bags with the other groundnut bags in the factory with the consent of Truth and consumed it to produce edible oil. Whether Truth is entitled to claim his share in the edible oil? Yes, when the goods are mixed with the consent of the baler and bailee, the baler has a right to claim the price of the goods. He'll get his proportionate share. What will be the consequence if they were mixed without the consent of Mr. Truth? In that case, because they are already converted into oil, the goods are not separable, then he will get a reasonable price. Right? He'll get a reasonable price. Karthik took his AC to Pratik, an electrician, for repair. Even after numerous follow ups by Karthik, Pratik didn't return the AC in reasonable time, even after repair. In the meantime, when the bailee has the purpose of bailment is over, the bailee must return the goods back. In the meantime, Pratik's electric shop caught fire because of short circuit and AC was destroyed. Decide whether Pratik will be held liable. Yes, he is liable because he failed to return the goods within the time. Mr. Stephen owns a chicken farm near Gurgaon where he breeds them and sells eggs and live chicken to retail shops in Gurgaon. Mr. Fleming also owns a similar firm near Gurgaon doing the same business. Mr. Fleming had to go back to his native place in Australia for 1 year. He needed money for travel, so he had pledged his firm to Stephen for 1 year and received a deposit of 25 lakh and went away. At that point of time, the stock of live birds were 1 lakh and eggs were 10,000. The condition was that when Fleming returns, he will repay the deposits and take possession of his firm with live birds and eggs. After 1 year, Fleming came back and returned the deposit. At that time, there were 1,09,000 live birds and 15,000 eggs. Stephen refused, agreed to return 1 lakh live birds and 10,000 eggs only. State the duties of Stephen as a pawnee. As a pawnee, that is when pawnee means as a bailee. If there is any accretion to the goods, it is the duty of the bailee to return the accretion to the goods. So he is liable to return the 1,09,000 birds and 15,000 eggs. Shruti acquired a valuable diamond at a very low price by a voidable contract under the provisions of the Indian Contract Act. The voidable contract was not rescinded. Shruti pledged the diamond with Mr. VK. Is this a valid pledge under the Contract Act? When a person has the possession of the goods under a voidable contract and pledges it to a bona fide person, the pledge is valid. Whether a pawnee has a right to retain the goods pledged. Yes, the pawnee has a right to retain the goods pledge if he has not received the money. Raghav found gold and diamond studded wristwatch under value approximately 1 lakh on the roadside. He picked it up and then advertised in the newspaper that the true owner thereof can take the watch after showing proper evidence. After waiting for a certain period of time, when the true owner did not turn up, he gifted that wristwatch to his son Mahesh. A few days, can he actually gift the watch to his son Mahesh? No. A few days later, Madhav, the true owner of the watch, somehow noticed his watch on the wrist of Mahesh. He approached him to collect the same, but Mahesh refused. In the evening, Raghav called Madhav and told him that he had incurred 20,000 to find the true owner. If he fails to reimburse him that lawful expense incurred on finding out the true owner, he will sue him for recovery thereof or retain the possession of the watch with him until recovery. Even he can sell the watch for recovery of expenses. Advice: can he gift the wristwatch to his son? No. Warning him to sue for recovery. He is not entitled to sue for the expenses that he had incurred at his own will. Retaining. He has a right to retain the goods unless he is given. The rights of retainer or the right of lien is there unless he gets the expenses. Selling of wristwatch. You can actually sell the goods if the expenses are two-thirds or more of the value of the goods. Here, the value of the goods was 1 lakh, expense was 20,000. It was not two-thirds or more of the value, so he cannot even sell the goods. Now we are moving to the chapter, the last special contract agency. So, Rahul, a transporter, was entrusted with the duty of transporting tomatoes from a rural farm to a city by Ashwin. Due to heavy rains, Rahul was stranded for more than 2 days. Rahul sold the tomatoes below the market rate in the nearby market where he was stranded, fearing that the tomatoes may perish. Can Ashwin recover the loss from Rahul? No. In an emergency, when a person acts as an agent for another, if he is not in a position to communicate and it is a real emergency and he has acted as a man of ordinary prudence, the contract is valid. The sale here is valid. So it's an act in emergency and he has acted as a man of ordinary prudence, so he cannot recover. Mr. A of Delhi engaged S as his agent to buy a house in Noida extension area. Mr. S bought a house for 50 lakhs in the name of a nominee and then purchased it himself for 60 lakhs. He then sold the same house to A for 80 lakhs. A later comes to know the mischief of S and tries to recover the excess amount paid. Decide whether he is entitled to recover any amount. First of all, Can the agent, without the knowledge of the principal debtor, make any secret profit? Without the, I'm so sorry. Without the knowledge of the principal, make any secret profits? No. In that case, two things can happen. First, the principal has a right to cancel the transaction. Second, he has, if he has concealed any information, second, he has a right to claim the extra benefit that the agent has received. So here, can he cancel the contract? Yes. And he is also entitled. If he wants to keep, he can keep. Is he entitled to receive that 30 lakh which extra profit he has made, the agent has made? Yes. Aarti is the wife of Naresh. She purchased some saris on credit from Messrs. Rainbow Silk, Jaipur. Messrs. Rainbow Silk, Jaipur demanded the amount from Naresh. Naresh refused to pay. So they filed a suit against Naresh for the said amount. Decide whether Rainbow Silk Jaipur would succeed. Husband is a principal, or wife is the agent of the husband for the necessaries. Here, for those saris which is a necessary, Naresh is liable to pay. So for that portion of the purchase which is considered to be a necessaries to her, Messrs. Rainbow will succeed. For the rest, they cannot recover anything. ABC Limited sells its products through some agents, and it is not the custom in their business to sell the products on credit. Pinto, one of the agents, sold goods of ABC to Messrs. Parul Private, which was insolvent, on credit, which was insolvent at the time of sale. ABC Limited sued Pinto for compensation towards the loss caused. Whenever an agent is acting on behalf of the principal, he must follow the instructions of the principal. Also, he must take due care while making any contract on behalf of the principal. Here, it was very clearly given that the goods were, they did not have the custom of selling the goods on credit. Second, he sold it to Parul Private Limited on credit, which was insolvent. So he did not take due care of examining. So is he liable? Is Mr. Pinto liable for the loss to the to the principal? Yes. Bhupendra borrowed a sum of 3 lakh from Atul. Bhupendra appointed Atul as his agent to sell his land and authorized him to appropriate the amount of loan out of the sale proceeds. That means he is hiring him as an agent to sell his land so that the loan can be paid off. This is agency coupled with interest. And you know what? When it is agency coupled with interest, it cannot be revoked, right? Bhupendra revoked the age. Afterwards, Bhupendra revoked the agency. Can he revoke it? No. Is the revocation lawful? No. In case of agency coupled with interest, it is not lawful for the agent to revoke the agency. A rented his house to be on lease for 3 years. The lease agreement is terminable on 3 months' notice by either party. C, the son of A, being in need of a separate house to live, served a notice on B without any authority to vacate the house within a month and requested his father A to ratify his actions. Examine whether it shall be valid for A to ratify. There are certain rules for ratification. If the ratification would result or cause any loss to a third party, such ratification is not valid. Here, if they would ratify, the lease agreement was to be terminable, could be terminated. Here, the motive was to vacate the house. It would be a loss to the other person. And he had, I mean, if I would have, let's say it's my property and I give you authority to go and give a notice for termination, then it is valid. But without my authority, you go and terminate, and now you're asking me to ratify. Any ratification which causes a loss to the third party cannot be done. So this ratification is not valid. So it's not valid for A to ratify the action of C. Mr. Naveen owns a big car and has leased the car to Mrs. Susie. The lease agreement is terminable, and again, same thing cannot be ratified. Ramu has given authority to Prem to buy certain goods at the market rate. Prem buys the goods at higher rate than the market rate. However, Ramu accepted the purchase in spite of higher rate. Afterwards, Ramu comes to know that the goods purchased belong to Prem himself. First of all, when the agent acts outside his authority, the principal, if he accepts it, he has ratified the act. But ratification can be done only with knowledge of all material facts. Here it was not disclosed that the goods belonged to Prem himself. So ratification was done without disclosure of material fact. So is he bound by the ratification done? No. Ashish appoints Megha, a minor, as his agent to sell his watch for cash at a price not less than 1700. Can a minor be an agent? Yes. Megha sells it to Diwan for 1200. Is it a valid sale? Yes, because a minor can be an agent. Is the sale valid? Yes. Explain the legal position of Megha and Diwan. The sale is absolutely valid. Ashish will have no rights to claim the watch from Diwan or to claim damages from Megha. If Megha was not a minor, no, can Ashish claim the damages of 500? Yes, but because she's a minor, he cannot claim the damages of 500. Yadav, a cargo owner, chartered a vessel to carry a cargo of wheat from a foreign port to Chennai. The vessel got stranded on a reef in the sea. The ship's managing agent signed a salvage agreement for Mr. Yadav. The goods being perishable, the salvors stored it at their own expense. Salvors intimated the whole incident to the cargo owner. Yadav refused to reimburse the salvor as it is the ship owner, being the bailee of the cargo, who was liable to reimburse the salvor until the contract remained unterminated. Can we say it's an agency by necessity? Yes. And if it is an agency by necessity, who is liable? The principal is liable. So they can recover it from Mr. Yadav and not the ship owner. Pankaj appoints Shruti as his agent to sell his estate. Shruti, on looking over the estate before selling it, finds the existence of good quality granite mine on the estate which is unknown to Pankaj. Shruti buys the estate herself after informing Pankaj that she wishes to buy the estate for herself but conceals the existence of granite mine. Pankaj allows Shruti to buy the estate. Right? In ignorance of the existence of mine, state with giving reason, in brief, uh, the rights of Pankaj, the principal, against Shruti, the agent. Give your answer as per the provisions of the act. So, first of all, whenever the agent makes any contract without disclosing, the material facts, such a contract itself is not valid. So, when she wants to purchase the property without disclosing the existence of the granite mine, the contract is this is fraud, and the contract itself is voidable, right? So, when you are not disclosing the material circumstances, it's a fraud and the contract is voidable. So here, can we say the principal has a right to cancel the contract? Yes. What would be your answer if Shruti had informed Pankaj about the existence of mine before she purchased the estate, but after 2 months she sold the estate at a profit of 10 lakh? If he had knowledge, doesn't matter. Then he has agreed to sell and she has agreed to purchase. Then the profit belongs to her. She is not eligible or liable to anyone for that profit. Correct? Mr. X owes Mr. X owes Y 50,000. Mr. X afterwards appoint Y as his agent to sell his flat at Bangalore, and after paying himself what is due to him, hand over. Okay. So this is again the same question as the land sale. This is agency coupled with interest. And in case of agency coupled with interest, it cannot be terminated. Right? Because he owed money, and that is why he appoints him as an agent to sell off. What is due to him, hand over the balance. Examine as per the provision, can he revoke his authority? No. Agency coupled with interest cannot be revoked. Right? Can we move forward? Rama directs Shyam to sell laptops for him and agrees to give Shyam 11% commission on the sale price fixed by Rama for each laptop. As Government of India put restrictions on import of laptops, Rama thought that the prices of laptops might go up in the near future, and he revokes Shyam's authority for any further sale. When can the authority of the agent be revoked? Yes, the agent's authority can be revoked. As far as the agent is concerned, the revocation takes place when he gets the notice of revocation. Shyam, before receiving the letter at his end, sold 5 laptops at the price fixed by Ram. So basically, the agent's authority is revoked only when he gets the notice of revocation. And here they are saying that before he received the notice, he had already sold 5 laptops. So the sale is valid or not? Yes. You send the notice here. You have sent the notice here, but I received it here. So for me, revocation happens here. And in between this period, if I have made any contract, you are bound by it. Shyam asked for 11% commission on the sale. Whether sale of laptops after revoking Shyam's is binding on Ram? Yes, because revocation happens as far as the agent is concerned. Revocation takes place when the agent gets notice of termination. Whether Sham will be liable to recover his commission from Ram. If yes, what will be the amount of such commission? 11% is 11,000 per laptop into 5, which is equal to 55,000. So, yes, he's entitled to get the commission, and the commission is 55,000. With this, we are done with all the questions of the special contracts. I hope your studies are going well. Happy learning and stay motivated. Thank you so much.